October 24th, 1944, 9:14 a.m., somewhere over the Philippine Sea. Commander David McCampbell is climbing through 12,000 feet when the radio crackles. 60 enemy aircraft, bearing 270, closing on the fleet. McCampbell looks at his instrument panel. His F6F Hellcat wasn't even supposed to fly today. The deck crew rushed to fuel it when radar detected the incoming strike. The tanks aren't full. He has maybe 90 minutes of flight time before his engine dies. He keys the radio, requests backup. The response comes back flat. Sorry, none available. Every other fighter is either engaged or out of position. McCampbell looks to his right. His wingman, Ensign Roy Rushing, flies off his wing. One other Hellcat. That's it. 2 American pilots against 60 Japanese fighters and bombers heading straight for the fleet. The carriers below them, the Essex, the Langley, the Lexington. 15,000 sailors who will die if those planes get through. McCampbell does the math. 60 to 2, 30 to 1 odds. His fuel is low. His backup isn't coming. The rational move is to shadow the formation, report their position, wait for reinforcements. Instead, McCampbell pushes the throttle forward and attacks. What happens next takes 90 minutes. 15 Japanese planes will fall from the sky, 9 of them killed by McCampbell, 6 by his wingman. The rest of the formation will scatter and flee, never reaching the American fleet. When McCampbell finally lands, his engine will sputter and die from fuel exhaustion the instant his wheels touch the deck. His 6 machine guns will have exactly 2 rounds remaining, 2 bullets between him and an empty aircraft. 60 Japanese fighters attacked 2 American pilots that day. 15 died, all Japanese. David McCampbell was born January 16, 1910. Bessemer, Alabama, steel country, foundries and smokestacks and working men who came home with soot under their fingernails. When McCampbell was 12, his family moved to West Palm Beach, Florida. Different world. Palm trees instead of blast furnaces. Ocean instead of slag heaps. McCampbell took to it immediately. He learned to swim, learned to love the water, the sky, the feeling of freedom that came with both. He attended Staunton Military Academy in Virginia, the kind of place that turns soft boys into hard men. Discipline, structure, the understanding that rules exist for a reason and excellence is the only acceptable standard. From there, Georgia School of Technology in Atlanta. He joined the Naval Reserve Officers Training Corps, played football, swam competitively, and discovered something about himself. He liked to compete, liked to win, liked the feeling of being the best at something difficult. 1929. McCampbell receives an appointment to the United States Naval Academy at Annapolis. He's 19 years old. The academy is 4 years of engineering, navigation, naval tactics, and tradition. They're training officers for a peacetime navy, men who will spend their careers on battleships and cruisers, projecting American power across 2 oceans. Nobody talks much about aviation. Airplanes are fragile, unreliable, a novelty. The real Navy floats. McCampbell graduates in 1933. Then nothing. The Great Depression is grinding through its 4th year. The Navy doesn't have money, doesn't have billets, doesn't have room for fresh ensigns. McCampbell's commission is delayed by 12 months. He waits, works odd jobs, wonders if he made a mistake. Finally, June 1934, he's called to active duty, commissioned as an ensign, assigned to the heavy cruiser USS Portland. For 3 years, McCampbell serves on the Portland. He learns his trade, navigation, gunnery, the 1,000 small details that keep a warship running. But something is pulling at him. Every time he sees a plane overhead, something stirs. The sky. That's where he wants to be. May 1937, McCampbell is promoted to lieutenant junior grade and immediately requests flight training. The Navy sends him to Pensacola, Florida. Naval Air Station Pensacola, the cradle of naval aviation. This is where pilots are made or broken. The washout rate is brutal. Men who were stars at Annapolis, top of their class, wash out in the first month. Flying isn't about intelligence. It's about instinct, reflexes, the ability to process information faster than conscious thought allows. McCampbell has it. He earns his Wings of Gold in April 1938. Naval aviator, one of the elite. They assign him to Fighting Squadron 4, VF4, aboard the aircraft carrier USS Ranger. He's flying biplanes at first, then the new monoplanes coming into service. The Brewster Buffalo, a stubby, underpowered fighter that looks like a barrel with wings. The pilots hate it, but McCampbell learns to fly it anyway, because that's what naval aviators do. They fly what they're given and make it work. 1940. McCampbell is transferred to the aircraft carrier USS Wasp as landing signal officer, the LSO, the man who stands on the deck with colored paddles and guides pilots down to the carrier. It's one of the most important jobs in naval aviation. A bad LSO gets pilots killed. McCampbell is promoted to lieutenant. He's 30 years old, a peacetime naval officer with a good career ahead of him. Then the Japanese bomb Pearl Harbor, December 7th, 1941. Everything changes. The peacetime Navy becomes a wartime Navy overnight. McCampbell watches from the Wasp as America mobilizes for total war. The Pacific Fleet is shattered, battleships burning in the harbor, 2,000 men dead in a single morning. The carriers, fortunately, were at sea during the attack. They're all that's left. The Wasp deploys to the Pacific in 1942. McCampbell is still the LSO, still waving pilots aboard, still watching other men fly, while he stands on the deck. He wants to be in a cockpit, but the Navy needs LSOs, and McCampbell is good at the job. September 15th, 1942. The Solomon Islands. The Wasp is supporting operations near Guadalcanal when a Japanese submarine finds her. 3 torpedoes slam into the carrier's starboard side. Aviation fuel ignites. Fires spread through the hangar deck. The ship is doomed. McCampbell helps organize the evacuation, calm under pressure, getting men off the burning ship, into the water, onto rescue vessels. The Wasp goes down. 193 men die. McCampbell survives. He's fished out of the water and sent back to the States, promoted to lieutenant commander, assigned to Naval Air Station Melbourne, Florida as an LSO instructor, teaching other men the job he's mastered, still not flying combat, still watching from the deck. For over a year, McCampbell trains landing signal officers. He's good at it, patient, precise. The Navy loves him in this role. But McCampbell keeps requesting transfer to a combat squadron. He's 32 years old, ancient by fighter pilot standards. Most of the men shooting down Japanese planes are in their early 20s. Fast reflexes, quick reactions, the kind of youth that makes you think you're immortal. McCampbell doesn't care about the age statistics. He knows he can fly, knows he can fight. Finally, in August 1943, the Navy relents. McCampbell is assigned to form a new squadron, Fighting Squadron 15. V-15. He'll build it from scratch, select the pilots, supervise the training, create a unit that meets his standards. September 1943. McCampbell takes command of V-15. He's the old man of the squadron at 33. His pilots call him Dashing Dave behind his back. Some of them wonder if he's too old, too careful, too by the book for combat. They're wrong. February 1944, McCampbell is promoted to commander and given leadership of the entire Air Group 15, not just the fighters, the bombers, the torpedo planes, everything that flies off the carrier. Air Group 15 is assigned to the USS Essex, one of the newest and most powerful carriers in the Pacific Fleet. They deploy in spring of 1944. Destination, the Pacific War. McCampbell's first combat comes May 19, 1944, a fighter sweep over Marcus Island. He doesn't score a kill, but he gets his first taste of combat flying. The speed, the chaos, the way training either holds or doesn't when someone is actually trying to kill you. 3 weeks later, near Saipan, he sees a lone Zero emerge from the clouds. McCampbell maneuvers behind it, lines up the shot, squeezes the trigger. The Zero comes apart in mid-air. First kill. McCampbell has been in the Navy for 10 years. He's 34 years old, and he's just getting started. June 19, 1944. The Marianas, the Great Marianas, Turkey, shoot. The Japanese launch a massive carrier strike against the American fleet. 400 planes in multiple waves, the largest carrier battle of the war. American radar detects them coming. The fighters scramble to intercept. McCampbell leads his squadron against the second wave. 80 Japanese aircraft, bombers and fighters, heading for the American carriers. McCampbell spots a formation of Aichi D-4Y Judy dive bombers below him. He rolls into a dive, lines up the first one, and opens fire. The Judy explodes. He slides to another, fires, another explosion. In minutes, McCampbell has 5 kills, 5 aircraft destroyed in a single engagement, ace in a day, a feat only a handful of pilots ever accomplish. But McCampbell isn't done. That afternoon, second sortie, he finds 2 Mitsubishi Zeros over Guam. He kills both of them. 7 kills in a single day. The Marianas turkey shoot ends with over 300 Japanese planes destroyed. The Japanese carrier air arm, the force that attacked Pearl Harbor, is broken. It will never recover. McCampbell has announced himself. 7 kills. More than most pilots achieve in an entire war. And he's just warming up. For the next 4 months, Air Group 15 ranges across the Pacific. They hit Japanese bases at Iwo Jima, Taiwan, Okinawa. They sink ships, destroy planes on the ground, strafe troop columns. McCampbell leads from the front. He doesn't ask his pilots to do anything he won't do himself. His kill count climbs. 10, 15, 20. The men stop joking about his age. Dashing Dave has become something else entirely. A predator, the most dangerous pilot in the Pacific. Then comes October 1944, the Philippines. General Douglas MacArthur is returning, just like he promised. The largest naval battle in history is about to begin. The Battle of Leyte Gulf. 4 separate engagements across 100,000 square miles of ocean. The Japanese throw everything they have left at the American invasion fleet, carriers, battleships, cruisers, and aircraft, hundreds of them. Land-based planes from airfields across the Philippines launched in desperate waves against the American carriers. October 24th. The Essex's radar picks up a large formation inbound, 60 aircraft, fighters and bombers, heading straight for the fleet. McCampbell is in the ready room when the call comes. All available fighter pilots, man your planes. His Hellcat, Mincy 3, wasn't scheduled to fly. It's low on fuel. But McCampbell decides he's available. He runs to the flight deck. The deck crew scrambles to fuel his plane. They don't have time to fill the tanks completely. McCampbell straps in anyway. His wingman, Ensign Roy Rushing, launches beside him. 7 other Hellcats join them, assigned to hit the bombers. McCampbell and Rushing will handle the fighters. They climb to intercept. 12,000 feet. 15,000. McCampbell sees them first. A formation of enemy aircraft. spread across the sky. He counts them, 40 fighters at least, probably more, Zeros, Oscars, Tonys, the cream of Japanese naval aviation escorting bombers toward his fleet. McCampbell radios for reinforcements. Every other American fighter is engaged or out of position. The response comes back cold. Sorry, none available. McCampbell looks at Rushing. Rushing looks back. 2 planes, 2 pilots, against 60 Japanese aircraft. They attack. McCampbell has the altitude advantage. He uses it perfectly. The Hellcat is heavier than the Zero, faster in a dive, better armored. In a turning fight, the Zero wins. But McCampbell doesn't turn fight. He dives through the formation, picks a target, fires, pulls up, climbs, repositions, and dives again. Boom and zoom, hit and run, the tactics that American pilots have learned work against Japanese fighters. The first Zero never sees him coming. McCampbell drops onto its tail from above, 3,000 feet of diving acceleration, 6, 50 caliber machine guns converging on a single point. The Zero disintegrates. McCampbell zooms back up, scanning for the next target. Rushing is on his wing, covering him, calling out threats. Bandit at 3 o'clock high. Break left. McCampbell finds another Zero. Dives, fires. Kill number 2. The Japanese formation begins to react. But they're confused. They expected to strike the American fleet unopposed. Instead, 2 Hellcats are slashing through them like wolves through sheep. They can't pin down the Americans. Every time a Zero tries to engage, McCampbell or Rushing is diving from above, shredding their wingman, disappearing back into the sun. The minutes blur together. McCampbell loses count of his firing passes. He's operating on pure instinct now. A lifetime of training compressed into seconds of action. Spot the target, dive, lead the aircraft, fire. Watch the tracers converge. See the hits, pull up, climb, do it again. The Hellcat shudders each time the guns fire. Brass casings stream from the ejection ports. The smell of cordite fills the cockpit. Kill 3, kill 4. The formation is falling apart. Kill 5. Japanese pilots are scattering, trying to escape these 2 American demons who won't stop attacking. Kill 6, kill 7. McCampbell's ammunition is running low. His fuel gauge is dropping toward empty. Kill 8. Rushing gets another one. And another. The sky is filled with burning aircraft, parachutes, debris falling toward the ocean. Kill 9. McCampbell pulls off his final target and checks his instruments. His fuel tank is nearly dry. Minutes of flight time remaining. Maybe less. He's far from the Essex. Too far, maybe. He banks toward the fleet. The return flight is tense. McCampbell watches his fuel gauge like a man watching an hourglass run out. Every second, the needle drops lower. The Essex is launching and recovering aircraft. Her deck is full. No room to land. McCampbell diverts to the Langley, another carrier in the task group. He calls the ball. The LSO guides him in. His approach is perfect. Has to be. No fuel for a go-around. The Hellcat's wheels touch the deck. The tailhook catches the wire. The aircraft jerks to a stop. And the engine dies. Complete fuel exhaustion. Not fumes. Empty. The plane had nothing left. Deck crew rush to the aircraft. McCampbell sits in the cockpit for a moment, hands shaking for the first time all day. They check his guns. The armorer counts the remaining rounds. 2 bullets. 2 rounds left in 6 machine guns that started with over 2,000. McCampbell climbed into his aircraft with full ammunition belts. 90 minutes later, he had 2 bullets and a dead engine. The tallies come in that evening. McCampbell, 9 confirmed kills. Rushing, 6. 15 Japanese aircraft destroyed by 2 pilots. The rest of the formation scattered, turned back, never reached the fleet. 15,000 sailors on those carriers below never knew how close they came. 2 pilots stood between them and 60 Japanese aircraft. The 2 pilots won. The Battle of Leyte Gulf ends in catastrophe for the Japanese. They lose 4 carriers, 3 battleships, and hundreds of aircraft. The Imperial Japanese Navy, as a fighting force, ceases to exist. October 24th, the day McCampbell shot down 9 planes, becomes the single deadliest day for Japanese aviation in the entire Pacific War. McCampbell's 9 kills in one mission sets a record that no American pilot has ever matched, before or since. 9 enemy aircraft in 90 minutes. And he did it on low fuel, without backup, outnumbered 30-1. When the recommendation for the Medal of Honor reaches Washington, nobody questions it. The citation says it plainly. Fighting desperately but with superb skill against such overwhelming air power, he shot down 9 Japanese planes and, completely disorganizing the enemy group, forced the remainder to abandon the attack before a single aircraft could reach. The Fleet. January 1945. The White House. President Franklin Roosevelt places the Medal of Honor around David McCampbell's neck. The president's hands are thin, trembling. He's dying, though few know it. 3 months from now, Roosevelt will be dead, but today he's honoring the Navy's greatest ace. McCampbell stands at attention. 34 kills, the highest-scoring Navy pilot in American history, a record that still stands today. No naval aviator has ever surpassed him. Let's count what David McCampbell earned in 6 months of combat. Medal of Honor, Navy Cross, Distinguished Flying Cross, 3 of them, Silver Star, Legion of Merit, Air Medal, 34 aerial victories, 318 planes destroyed by his air group in aerial combat. Another 348 destroyed on the ground, nearly 300,000 tons of enemy shipping sunk. 1 battleship, 3 aircraft carriers, 9 cruisers, 19 destroyers, air group. 15 becomes known as the fabled 15, the most successful carrier air group of the Pacific War, and McCampbell led them. The war ends. McCampbell stays in the Navy. He serves as senior aviation advisor to Argentina, commands the attack carrier USS Bonhomme Richard, rises to the rank of captain. His career continues for another 2 decades, steady promotions, important assignments, the respect of everyone who serves with him. He retires in 1964, moves back to Florida, the state where he grew up, where he learned to love the sky and the sea. McCampbell doesn't write a memoir, doesn't do the lecture circuit, doesn't trade on his fame. When reporters ask about the war, about the 9 kills, about the 2 bullets and the empty tanks, he deflects. "I brag about the planes I shot down," he says once, "but I don't brag about the number of people I killed. For 32 years, all I did was try to forget all of it." June 30th, 1996, Riviera Beach, Florida. David. McCampbell dies in a nursing home. He's 86 years old. They bury him at Arlington National Cemetery. Section 46, Grave 929, among heroes of every American war. The Navy names a destroyer after him, USS McCampbell, DDG-85, commissioned in 2002. The Palm Beach International Airport names a terminal in his honor, the Ace of Aces. At the Navy's Top Gun School in Nevada, his photograph hangs on the wall. The standard, the legend, the pilot every naval aviator measures themselves against. Here's what the story of David McCampbell tells us. Courage isn't always loud. It isn't always the man screaming and charging with a bayonet. Sometimes courage is quiet, calculated, cold. David McCampbell heard the radio call. No backup available. He had every excuse to hang back, shadow the formation, report their position, wait for help that wasn't coming. Nobody would have blamed him. Nobody would have questioned the decision. 60 aircraft against 2. The math was suicide. Instead, McCampbell pushed the throttle forward and attacked. Not because he didn't understand the odds. He understood them perfectly. He attacked because 15,000 men on those carriers below him were counting on someone to stop those planes, and there was no one else, just him and his wingmen. 2 Hellcats against the world. 90 minutes later, 15 Japanese aircraft were falling toward the ocean in flames. The rest were running for home. The fleet was safe. McCampbell landed with 2 bullets and an empty tank, having done the impossible because impossible was the only option left. They gave him the Medal of Honor for it, the highest award the nation can bestow. He wore it quietly. Didn't brag. Spent 32 years trying to forget. That's not false modesty. That's a man who understood what he did, what it cost, and what it meant. 60 Japanese fighters attacked 2 American pilots that day. 15 died, all Japanese. David McCampbell, the ace of aces, the man who ran out of fuel, ran out of bullets, and never ran out of courage. David McCampbell didn't consider himself a hero. He considered himself a man who did the job that needed doing. But his record still stands 80 years later as a testament to what happens when skill meets absolute defiance. If you think the ace of aces deserves to be remembered, hit the like button and subscribe for more stories of the men who did the impossible. But here's a question for you. If you were in that cockpit, low on fuel, no backup, and saw 60 enemies on the horizon, would you have turned back, or would you have pushed the throttle forward?